Immortals had figured out the strategy that Cloud9 was trying to run.
Well, scratch that. They're afraid of GP in the first pick. That's something that's had to be banned on the red side every single time, which means one of the three that we just mentioned between Cassiopeia, Sivir, and Jhin will go through to C9 if they so choose. Totally changing up the bans.
Actually hitting Jensen much more, trying to put him on something else that won't control the lane as well as be able to rotate and help if Pobelter can again keep him pushed in. Like we said, the Huni Yasuo was also gigantic. Is it that much consideration that Cloud9 take here to bring a ban to it? Probably not. It looks like it is going to be the Sivir, though. They keep that all 3 games so far. 4 games, I should say.
Yeah, there's always a ban or two that I disagree with, and here I actually disagree with C9's ban of Vladimir before Immortals had a chance to ban Cassiopeia, because I feel like you can kind of force a ban there. But it's still going to be a Rek'Sai first pick for pretty much this entire series.
Yeah, Rek'Sai first pick, incredibly common now, and just trying to hide things, and it's also very high priority. Meteos, you know, he's one of the guys who loves Gragas, but it's still also a big takeaway from Reignover.
So this leaves a number of top lane champions. We still have the Echo, we still have the Shen, we technically still have the Yasuo. I don't really know if there's a heavy priority on any of them yet. It's curious to see if Immortals decides to very freely pick a lane here, because a lot has been left up.
Yeah, I feel like Immortals are operating off of counter picks a bit here, where they banned out the Cassiopeia, able to pick the Vlad, and then they got a little bit countered by the Malzahar, but then they waited for the Shen to come through. So top lane isn't pinched too much, so I don't expect them to take a top lane champion until last round.
Wow. Talia Jhin pick up first. They're going to blind pick the Talia, something Jensen also plays, but dwindling his pool a little bit more.
And what's so interesting about the Talia is she was seemingly the highest priority champion maybe in the game 2 weeks ago. And then nothing actually changed on the patch, but Talia kind of disappeared from the picks and ban phase. So what that tells us is that means in practice for all of these teams as leading up to finals and the regional qualifier is Talia was losing a lot, and there were counters to the Talia gameplay. But they still see a lot of value in it, and it's a throwback to see if Pobelter can carry on the Talia.
Yeah, a big counter to Talia is actually the Syndra that is banned away from Immortals, because it matches the pressure in the early wave clear, and then eventually has kill pressure level 6, very easy to take out a Talia, and you force her to take a summoner spell that's not Ghost, and maybe an Exhaust or something along those lines.
Yeah, I find it so interesting, actually, how Immortals is putting in one mid lane ban in the last 2 games, and that almost telegraphs what mid lane pick they want.
Yeah.
When they wanted Vladimir, they banned the Cassiopeia. Here, they wanted Talia early, so they banned the Syndra.
Ooh, and the Taric comes through as well. This was a pick that really helped out Adrian in that 5th game and allowed him to have a lot of skirmish potential. So this allows Immortals to pretty much draft anything they want in the top lane. Doesn't have to be a tank. It can be something incredibly squishy too. Right. And the Taric will be able to kind of cover that weakness in team fights.
That's the ability they want to give Huni here, especially with the pressure on what could be Cloud9's game point for the 2nd time in a row. Cloud9 now to round out their composition. The Cassiopeia was left up. You have to think that's what Jensen will go with as one of his tried and true, and to sneaky head back towards that Lucian.
And if we look towards the North American LCS finals when Bjergsen and Jensen were battling against each other, Cassiopeia was picked blind a lot and had a lot of success there. And here you actually get to pick it directly into something you know, which is the Talia. I don't necessarily think this is a super favored Cassiopeia matchup by any sense of the word, but if you do get to late game, you're still going to be a bigger force than the Talia.
Exactly. Better team fighting and not as reliant on skill shots where the mobility comes in and people with higher boot levels and stuff like that. So it's harder to actually land those skills as Talia, whereas Cassiopeia, point and click.
Okay, that's more like it. I was like, is he really going to pick Shen? The Yasuo seems like the most logical choice here. This way they can maybe even chain some Taric stuns off of Yasuo just dashing into the team. I think this is another one of these compositions that actually fits Immortal style quite well.
Yeah, and there's so many things that actually set up the Yasuo, the seismic shove from Talia, also the Gragas body slam and the ultimate. So Huni, once again, team composition can supplement what he was trying to accomplish and actually enable him.
I'm very interested to see as well, Huni can play the same type of game that he did with Shen's Sword with Echo's Time Winder if he's fast enough in that pull. So it could really go Huni's way again if he understands that matchup right away. We saw it happen last game. We saw it happen all across the map for the first time in this series for Immortals. They're coming in with momentum now, here to keep the series alive. and keep that spot, the 3rd seed at Worlds, alive here for themselves, as well as Cloud9 fighting to get back to that position.
Yeah, I find it slightly interesting that Sneaky is not going for Ashe, even though he was the most prolific Ashe player throughout the regular season. It just kind of goes to show that both these coaches have so many different ideas of what they want to go with. The drafts have been so different in all 4 of the games so far this series.
Right, in that situation, the Tom Kench not being picked, you already saw the Tarek, so the Ashe could have worked really great there. You just have to deal with Cosmic Radiance after that. Both teams know what they're doing. They know why they picked it. We'll have to see how they perform now on the Rift. It's starting to get to that endurance moment. Who can last a little bit longer here? The games have been quick at 30 minutes, but they have tested the teams to the max so far. And right now, Immortals seems to be on top of that game. Cloud9 and Immortals entering back onto the Rift for game number 4.
Now we are approaching the 9th postseason game. These teams have played against each other in the past 2 weeks, so they are very familiar with each other and each other's champion pools at this point, and they have played each other very close.
Yeah, the number 2 and 3 team during the regular season, and then they ended up changing in playoffs. Cloud9 ended up being the number 2 team, overtaking Immortals, but none of that matters. This is the match that matters to make it to Worlds, to make it that your season got you to the championship.
A lot of safety. Summoner spells, exhaust for both Pobelter and Adrian. Smoothie exhaust and the Ghost Flash there. So the kill potential, while still high with ganks and whatnot, these teams are looking to win as a team in the fights, not just in small skirmishes. We'll see what happens. Hasn't really been that much early game aggression here, so both teams will get to that fight phase as they want to.
Yeah, a very small point I want to pay a lot of attention to is what happens at level 1 in the mid lane. A lot of times Talia can shove in the first wave so quickly that you then go and steal Raptors. If a lot of you guys remember Game 4 from the North American LCS Finals, Jensen tried to do this against TSM, and TSM had actually done a short jungle route and killed him when he went for it. So it's a play that you can do to gain an early edge in the lane, but very recently we have seen a play to counter it. If Pobelter is really trying to play to win and taking risks, he's going to go for the Raptors. But if that's in the back of his mind, he's not going for it.
All right, little does he know that is a top-side start from Medio, so not a fast red to the Raptor gank, as we saw by TSM. Seems like they'll just kind of back up out of this one.
So it would be safe for him to go for it, but there's no way of really knowing that aside from just guessing that Meteos is going to be starting on the blue side.
A small advantage previously if you played Talia. Now something you have to think twice about. Still clearing the waves as he stood, working that ground, looks like over towards his right side.
Yeah. Just playing the lane
Easy.
conservatively.
Well, immediately, the top lane skirmish, the matchup here is just back and forth. This is honestly a little bit of a Echo favorite matchup when it's AP versus crit chance. Has a lot more ways to just heal himself and get out of there, and you're relying on landing your knockup as Yasuo. But when it's all tank, Yasuo actually has a fair edge.
See how Impact takes to this matchup. The Shen one obviously not working in his favor, but as the analyst has said, bring a little more damage to the table this time so he can be more impact, if you will.
Yeah, and I actually think that the Gnar ban that Immortals picked up after Game 2 is incredibly crucial against Cloud9. It has been that all-around great champion for Impact.
Yep.
They first pick it for him whenever they can. Not everyone ever, but most of the time when they know that it's something that is not contested, they will take it. It is a high-priority champion for Impact in the top lane.
Oh, man.
And
Take a rock back.
Pobelter's been hugging that top side.
Oh, Adrian.
Like Jensen just gives it right back to him. Adrian one away from getting locked down. So it looks like Cloud9 fighting back with a bit more force here and able to with this bottom lane in Game 4.
Yeah,
Really getting the lockdown on the crowd control.
the early laning phase, though, for the Yasuo and the Echo isn't really much different than if they were still the assassin-type builds that we used to see matched up in the mid lane. I do think it is a little funny, actually, that this used to be like the epitome of skill matchup, the two assassins that would give like the highlight duels, the AP Echo versus the crit Yasuo, and now it's like the two bruisers that fight each other for 45 seconds. Like, that's what it's come down to.
Yeah, you realize at 20 seconds who's going to win, and then that person has to start running. Teleport
can move
really
faster.
early on, yeah. To save this blue for the Rek'Sai.
Not much different than teleporting to the turret. He's going to lose a few creeps, and now if he gets chunked out, that'll really hurt him.
He's gonna have the shield and the stun up here. Actually, a flash in from Meteos. They think they can fight back on this one. They have the damage onto Huni. He has to watch out for Grump aggro as well as any other aggro. They both peel out of that one, but Summoner is spent on both sides.
And this is a kind of big too, because that's both summoners from Impact, whereas
Right.
Huni still has a teleport, still has his flash available, and it's a healthier Reignover who can still invade the jungle.
Yeah, and this is Gragas trying to go in onto the Rek'Sai and doing it successfully. This will also extend his blue buff, which can really power his clears, and maybe even give him a decent CS advantage over the Rek'Sai. Adrian?
That is going to be a hit. He gets the heal out, saves himself. Beautifully done.
And Wild Turtle held his heal
Yes.
as well, so good composure there.
A little scary. They don't even have to blow any summoners on that. He still has the exhaust if they do go for the dive, so that'll stave off C9. Impact having a bit of trouble in this lane, but more so, Huni's just aggressive. The CS still looks all right.
Yeah, Impact had to use all of his corruption potion stacks just to stay, and then he realizes he's gotten harassed out so far. He's going to lose a lot in that top lane and be in a pretty large deficit. A little bit like I thought was going to happen to Immortals there with Adrian being low, but they've actually been able to stave that off and keep Wild Turtle in lane with what looks like a pretty easy recall back for Adrian.
Yeah, and this is a wave that's freezing towards Huni. So not only does he get to even have the option of pushing it to the turret and denying CS, he can just have this freeze on himself.
The invade from Reignover that prompted the teleport from Impact has some pretty far-reaching consequences in this game, because not only did we actually get the steal for Reignover, it applied the teleport advantage and has been a direct consequence for about 15 unanswered CS on Huni. It's essentially equivalent to a kill.
Yeah. Oh, you can also see this game, just for the Yasuo players, maxing E first instead of the Q, which he was maxing before.
Right.
Going for a little bit more mobility to try and dodge things and keep up with the Echo and apply some magic damage on top.
Still tanks, but still play that mechanic fight as well whenever they can. As they level themselves up, still going to be pretty brawly.
Oh man, almost double his CS already.
There's a lot of creep damage there, though.
That's going to get pretty volatile up on the top side. Reignover level up on Meteos right now, so we may see something crazy happen here as he heads towards that. Krugs is down, so he's going to be seen by this ward. His Impact says, getting a little too aggressive without vision. Slows him down.
Reignover coming up top because the level 6 happened for Huni, but there is a pink ward here, so gonna deny some vision from Impact, but still pressure on this top lane in favor of Immortals, and that's a big boon for them. That's where they need it. And if you think back to the series where Immortals ended up losing it to Cloud9 in the semis, it's because they couldn't get pressure top in a lot of those matches.
Yeah, and it's the Mortals you are used to seeing, although Huni gets interrupted on his recall. Nice prediction there by Impact, because they had cleared the wards in that brush, and Huni was trying to get that early recall off. He needs to go back to base to convert his gold advantage over Impact.
Echo does have a good, easy time pushing this wave in. It is a cannon wave, so he'll probably lose 2-3 creeps.
Didn't have too much. Only grabbed himself a ruby crystal, but it's getting there. Takes time to let that wave pile up as Impact pushes it in. Actually teleport down, so he may lose a good bit here as it crashes in. Mid lane 75 to 62 as the tier continues to stack up for Jensen's side, only at 144 right now, but keeping Pobelter at his turret to prevent him from doing a little roam walling.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a pretty good laning phase so far by Jensen, especially when Talia would have had the option to shove in a little bit at level 1. Pobelter's itemized defensively, Jensen's kept him pushing in.
And they know that he's going for this. They saw him with the ward walk over here, and it looked like it was a possibility for Meteos to try and make a play in combination with Jensen, but they decide not to. And there he goes, just walking up.
And we talked about when Meteos was keeping even with Reignover, with Gragas versus Nidalee. It's not quite as impressive that the Grogs is ahead of the Rek'Sai, but it is still a little surprising.
Ooh, flash play here.
Got the Bastion go back. They get a good stun. Meteos comes in. No Cosmic Radiance here. Wild Turtle can't even get back to ult. He doesn't have enough room. Will he be able to finish on Adrian as Sneaky gets that relentless pursuit with a few more shots, but it does not clear him out. They, however, pick up first blood.
Yeah, I pick up first blood. They had to actually use a lot to get that. The knockup from Meteos didn't hit Wild Turtle, so they had to spend a little bit more, but the exhaust did come through from Adrian. So overall, very good play there from Cloud9, which gives them an advantage.
Still a great gank overall, because they were able to get the summoner spells out as well as the kill, and they also strike exactly when they needed to, right before Adrian hit level 6 on Taric. It'll also probably give him this Ocean Drake.
Walls Meteos off in the pit by himself.
It's like old. It's like old.
Oh, he used the disengage, and Raynor has no mana.
Adrian over the wall. Remember, there's still no altar for him. Rainover as well. Sneaky's going hard on this one. He's going to get the kill onto Adrian. I don't know if they have the guts to go for Rainover here unless Meteos is close enough, and they are going to start hovering. Got to watch out for Turtle.
What was Immortals thinking going for that harass there? They'd already lost the dual lane. The Drake was all but taken. Pobelter didn't even arrive. And they're just meandering into the pit with Rainover and Adrian. It gives a kill back over to
We'll
Sneaky.
see it here again. It seems like not having Meteos gave them too much sense of security.
Yeah, that's a really strange play there from Rainover, because that ultimate is his disengage. He runs out of mana, doesn't have enough for body slam immediately. It just comes up after, so he's forced to use his flash to get over the wall. And then Adrian walks up and ends up dying. He's trying to support his teammate, but nope. Ends up going down and giving another kill over to this Lucian.
Yeah, that is really tough for them. They'd been able to accumulate a very small advantage on the top side, but
Yeah.
starts with a good gank and then ends with a bad play by Immortals. Whatever advantage they had in laning phase is long gone.
Yeah, and Ocean Drake goes over as well, which will help the laning phase from Cloud9. Is definitely a big thing for Echo top lane. You don't have to back as frequently. He spends a lot of mana clearing these waves.
Ooh. Very nicely done. Actually got the phase dive in to enter goal, if you will, goal side on the turret, get himself towards Yasuo. So it seems like Impact is actually kind of adapting to that situation, unlike he could with Shen's sword. 72 to 82 still there. Huni keeping into the top side. Actually had teleport for that fight in the bottom. Would have been even worse though if he would have lost lane to that, and then the result of both, or just, sorry, Rainover dying. I should say Adrian. And now back to lanes. First turret still yet to go down. A lot of gold could just fall into someone's pocket very fast. And Immortals was able to utilize that last game and really catapult themselves. I don't know if that's going to be the case here.
Impact just applying so much pressure in the top side now, despite being at what was a 50 to 30 CS deficit early on in the game. And able to keep the pressure up too, because he just ults straight back to lane as Huni has to clear the wave and recall. And he interrupts his recall again, so Impact gets a clean base off and then is still able to get back to disrupt Huni. That's just going to continue to keep Huni at his turret.
And Huni realizes he's going to have to try and clear this wave during that time. He's not going to get a clean recall for himself and may have to burn his teleport to get back, unless he gets jungle assistance, but he can't go topside. Rainover is occupied in the bot lane, because that's where Meteos has been hanging out.
Yeah. Unless Huni gets some help up from Rainover, I almost feel like when he recalls, he will lose the turret. So he has to sit on those items for a while. He's going to get his recall off here, but that's a full wave. He'll have to use his teleport. I just realized he still has his teleport.
Yeah.
But he's then going to opt into a teleport deficit. And you can see the CS being caught by Impact very quickly.
Yeah,
I didn't see that ward.
He's having too much fun surfing.
Yeah.
That's a really early upgrade by Jensen for the blue
triangle,
trinket.
yeah.
Yeah. Pobelter doesn't think to check. It's going to stop his roam's top lane, too.
Might be seen by Rainover as they come down.
Oh, yeah, Impact's playing that really well now. Getting the 3 proc off onto Huni and Huni's wind wall. Not doing exactly what he needs it to do in these. And here's the thing as well. In this top lane matchup, Huni has actually wasted so much time because the way that you punish the Echo is his ultimate is down. And then you back, get an item advantage, TP back in lane. You have the possibility of maybe killing him. But now, you're going to have to go for a flat kill while he has that ultimate backup.
And Huni is sitting on 2,000 gold.
Yeah.
His recalls have been endlessly delayed here. So, like, even though he's able to get his CS up, they don't actually have kill threat impact. So I think the reason Rainover's up here is actually to prevent Huni from having to burn his teleport to get back to lane. He wants to shove it out, find a recall position, get there, and then be able to walk back to lane.
Yeah. Stopping the possibility of a freeze or a hard push and making sure he can clear this wave and then get a nice recall off.
But he needs to run really far back because he's had a couple
Pretty
of
scarred
recalls.
Yeah, there we go. He can see where Impact is. Make sure that he's not coming.
Ash Arrow, not even in the game. Stop him from backing. Another quiet game now, 14 minutes in. A little less action than we saw last time, more like the first game. So
invade
this
on the
could
blue.
explode.
There's the TP from Huni.
As I say it, let's see the action. Ding ding goes the bell. Blue is going to go over. That is Rainovers as he smited it down. Bastion's going to lock down Smoothie as the rest of the team gets in. They're actually piling the health bars in, but the AoE is huge from Immortals. That swings back around with Impact's damage as he takes down Rainover, and now it's 4v1 on Wild Turtle. Impact may stay alive. There was a burn, but he will. And now Jensen starts to push forward here. Cloud9 scattering hard enough that Immortals couldn't finish off those kills.
Wow, what a massive fight right there for Cloud9, because it looked like that was how Immortals could get back into the game. Huni finally went back with his 2K plus gold, finally bought, and then could teleport immediately into a fight where it seemed like they'd section Cloud9 off, but the fight just doesn't work for Immortals. Adrian dies before his ultimate completes onto him. C9 just seemed to all get away with very low amounts of health. And let's watch this one more time.
The Wild Turtle throws all of his shots out. They're hitting Smoothie, and Sneaky is the one who goes after Huni. So Huni, 2,000 gold spent, whatever. This 3-0 Lucian is zoning him from the fight. Impact able to get his ultimate off and get another kill, and that whole top half of the fight, they're trying to weave spells in there, but Jensen just does so much already, and Huni...
Whoa!
Only so healthy.
That was his last breath as Impact takes him down. 30 seconds on the clock now, and again, that lane swings in favor of Impact.
Yep, that double buff as well as having 4 stacks already on his Dark Seal. He's starting to get to the point where you're considering him a Jais.
Also has a very nice Sunfire cape to just keep ticking against Huni, even if he tries to wander off. 27,000 now to 24. First turret hasn't even been taken down for that gold bump. And now Cloud9 is starting on the Infernal.
Perfect Drake for them to have it this time as well. Uncontestable with the way Immortals is right now. They're also going to lose that first turret to Impact, and things are looking really good for C9 and their chances at Worlds.
Yeah, and if Immortals can no longer duel in the top side, that is a big deal, because that mid lane as well, you just saw that exhaust go down. There's so much pressure here from C9 that, oh yeah, he was half HP trying to get a good back. And Impact has flash too, and Huni doesn't, so no minions to try and outplay on for Huni.
Just incredibly greedy by Huni. He recognized he shouldn't have been shoving that wave, gives another kill over to his lane opponent. It leads to the turret, so that's almost like giving 2.5 kills worth of gold over to him just like that. We talked about how when Immortals falls behind, they tend to make some very aggressive plays to come back into it. They made that aggressive play to try and stop the C9 invade, and the cost of that was massive. It's now 4,000 gold at 17 minutes, and they have to be able to come back if they want their season to continue.
Like Huni with that lane pushed up, doing a little ward clearing duty as well as vision setting, but still, Cloud9 not in any position to be ganked with themselves in the lead here. They're pushing up slowly, they're not going past their boundaries and really not leaving Immortals any openings here in this, I'd say, almost mid-game now that the turrets are starting to gold down. Bot lane will be the final outer one, or sorry, second outer one here, as mid lane will be the focus now for Cloud9.
Now those early kills that went over to Sneaky really helped him out. He's able to abuse that and get some items. Power spikes a little bit earlier, have a 30 CS advantage, and then that transition into the turret eventually. And right now, Impact gonna try to stun.
Getting Pole Belter slash, very nice phase dive and parallel convergence there. Pole Belter has to respect it, so you can see now Cloud9 starting to flex their muscles a bit. Not really having a minion wave, but still trying to dish out big damage.
Yeah, Cloud9 already killed the outer turrets in the top and the bottom lane. They're now rotating towards the mid lane and just trying to shove down as quickly as possible. 5,000 gold is the lead right now, and they're still looking to extend it. They have been closing games so well, and it's on Immortals to try and make a play.
You're going to have to against Immortals. They're the one that can turn a game around on its head. Here, Cloud9 looks to put the nail in the coffin a little bit more. That's going to be Pole Belter down, so they're missing quite a bit of DPS in the fight. Now on to Adrian. There goes the support. Huni's the last bit of damage they can really muster up here. His turtle is not there, and they drop him as well. 9-1, 18 minutes.
And an absolute disaster for Immortals. They give up even more off of a play that they were trying to make, and now Cloud9 are in a prime position to start gaining an even larger advantage and moving closer to Worlds.
Wild Turtle was not even with the team when they went for that play, so they opt into a disadvantaged fight just from a numbers perspective. The outer goes down, the inner goes down, 4 turrets to 0, and a gargantuan lead for C9 in a clinching game to go to Worlds.
Pole Belter had used his flash previously. He ends up using his Weaver's Wall to get in. Jensen actually shows up here. You think he's sectioned off from the fight, but nope, he comes in from the side. He's actually going to flash over the wall to join in, hits both Rainover and Huni with his ultimate so they can't continue on to Meteos, and by that time, it's already Pobelter dead. The Cosmic Radiance can't go off because Adrian was a little bit late to the fight in the first place, and Immortals seemed like they weren't all on the same page.
Yeah, Jensen and Impact did a bunch of work in that fight for C9. At the beginning of that Sneaky and Smooth, they were actually in the blue buff of Immortals. They ran all the way across the mid lane to make it in there to finish off the fight from them. So at the very onset of the fight, Immortals did have a numbers advantage. They just didn't have the damage to deal with Jensen's Cassiopeia and Impact's really strong Echo.
Also just kind of saying, oh my gosh, Meteos, there's one or two here. Let's ult Meteos with the Yasuo ultimate. Kind of lose a lot in that as well, and they have no follow-up to it. Meteos was able to crawl out, and now Cloud9 are right back at the front line and ready to push against Immortals. 9-1 here with a dominating lead. There could still be a separation fight. There's a lot of conditions where Pobelter can create something that is big for Immortals here in a skirmish, but it's got to have to be almost perfect.
Yeah, and they have to execute so cleanly, and they have to get over what is probably running through their heads, because they were the #1 team in the spring split, the #2 team in the summer split as far as the regular season goes, never even making a final, and 33-3 is their cumulative regular season record, trying to make it to Worlds. They might catch Jensen!
This is one thing they need to start doing, is dropping C9 members so they can grab more control of the map, but now it's 1-for-1, and C9 start to push back a little bit harder. Immortals have to take position once again on their side.
Yep, Huni charging up his ultimate, making sure that he'll have those Qs ready. And Immortals strike swift and hard. They pick up Jensen, but they give up Rainover in the process, and they need fights kind of like that, but that's the right idea.
Yeah, a net neutral isn't a bad thing for them when you're 8,000 gold behind, but when they extend their main playmaking spell and still have Rainover go down for the trade, it's not going to help them get back in the game. It's also a testament to how much Cloud9 has been able to improve. They were the third-place team in the regular season, but they lost in the quarterfinals in the spring. They make it all the way to the finals in the summer. They destroy Envy yesterday, and then they have to go up against Immortals, who, as we keep saying, throughout the majority of the regular season, it was almost an afterthought about, oh yeah, so Immortals are going to go to Worlds, and who else is going to go to Worlds? But now it could be Cloud9 over Immortals.
Even then, it was like MSI. All right, Immortals looks really strong coming into MSI. Oh wait, gets knocked out. Maybe the same story here for Worlds. And you think about Cloud9's journey like you were talking about, the team didn't really have a lot of coordination. They've come together, and even on top of that, Cloud9 have really shored up a lot of their weaknesses. They were one of the lowest cumulative kills per minute team in the league, #9, and they got it together, and they're able to play the style that Immortals is trying to play, where they can be brawly and they can have early advantages, and they play proactively now.
It's something you need to have as well, because closing out these games is exactly what you're going to need to see from these teams at Worlds. It's something that usually always plagues a team at one time or another, where it just goes too long and you're not able to close it out. Here, we're going to see if that can happen for Cloud9. Immortals, as we said, still in a position to make something happen for themselves. 8,000 gold lead looks pretty good for C9 right now, though.
Yeah, already being able to down the 4 outer turrets. They haven't allowed Huni's Yasuo to get going. Both of Pobelter's Weaver's Walls have backfired, and Sneaky is 5-0. So all of those things are very beneficial for Cloud9, as they will most likely start baiting around Baron.
Yeah, the 7,000 gold lead is about the time where you would want to do that, regardless of the time on the in-game clock. And they've had Drake control the entire time. And there's just been a lot of flubs here from Immortals. Rainover going in on the Drake and trying to steal it with a barrel, and then having it backfire onto Adrian and blowing a lot of summoner spells. Cloud9 have been punishing summoner spell usage very heavily in this matchup.
Throughout the series, they've been able to catch Immortals out of position in all games except Game 3, where Immortals had a pretty strong bounce back, but it prevents Immortals from being able to group up for the positive plays. Currently, though, most of Immortals' summoner spells are up. It's just they don't necessarily have the items they would need to try and pull off the play.
Still waiting for the heavy use of exhaust in these fights. It could really throw Cloud9 off if they think they're going to be finalizing kills and go too deep, because against this composition, that's how you get locked up, and that's how Turtle starts coming up with kills in Huni.
Yeah, but Pobelter has had so much pressure on him from Jensen. We've seen him blow his exhaust in lane multiple times already because the Cassiopeia just looks like he might flat out kill him.
The threat is becoming very, very big. Immortals are kind of having to react here as Cloud9 pushes on them a little bit harder. Locket of the Iron Solari finished up now for the side of C9, and it's really not too much of built, or at least the Aegis is built on the side of Adrian, I should say. So very close to having those shields. Everything they can get in these fights is going to be huge. Cloud9 only pressuring down more. No, if Impact's going to get this one. Gets himself in a bit of danger here, and he's going to try to walk his way out. No teammates to help him on this. Steel Tempest mids
A little bit too aggressive there.
Yeah, thought he was going to go back over the wall to get out. Flash is late. Baron's going to go down in this tussle towards the bot side. Very
empowered recall.
done. And now he gets out.
Oh man, Impact with a cheeky play to invade. Doesn't even die. Gets the flash out of Huni. Meanwhile, all of C9 doesn't even need to worry about baiting around Baron. Really nicely done.
And it looks like Pobelter once again had to use his exhaust. If he got jumped on at the blue, wasn't expecting that, and then ended up having to blow his summoner spell when he got chunked to half HP. He also had to kind of abandon the scene of the crime and back up. Thought he might die there, whereas Huni maybe could have used a little bit of help, but the Baron was being taken simultaneously, and that's something Cloud9 have used a whole bunch. As soon as more than one person is on Impact, you can go take an objective, no problem. He's really good at stalling and wasting your time.
It's also one of the big strengths of Cassiopeia, just the massive damage per second on Baron, even without a Mountain Drake, which will not spawn in this game, since we have the Cloud Infernal and Ocean Drake already. Still kill it extremely quickly, and now there's just not the wave clear options that Immortals would like. Looking like we're going to see more turrets fall for Cloud9 unless Immortals can pull off a miracle.
Abilities used. As Immortals is a little scared here of the pressure Cloud9 is able to put on. Those world streams just a few hanging threads away here for Immortals as they try their damnedest to hold on. Youmu's being thrown off, seeing if Sneaky can get anything out of Immortals. It looks like they are happy to just stay and stop the siege for now. Again, this top lane fight back and forth. It may be going in Impact's favor this time, and he does take down Huni. That's free time. That's what Cloud9 was waiting for. They don't even have to wait for the pressure. It's taken to Immortals.
Pobelter's going to try to finish what Huni started.
Does he have it? Parallel convergence? No. Not going to be able to come out and help him. That's Pobelter pulled away, however, and they're on the inhibitors.
Yeah, maybe more.
Rainover getting locked down. They tries to throw down the Cosmic Radiance, but it's too late, and it doesn't get Turtle either. He goes down, and it looks like Adrian is left alone here as Pobelter has to get back from the other side of the map. Adrian close to going down, and so is their Nexus.
And they might be going after these turrets right here. Sneaky flashes.
Cloud9 getting in means so much to them and the members of Cloud9 to get back to Worlds with this new squad. They're trying very hard, but no, this may not be the moment. They'll have to take another chance.
Huni TP. He's trying to actually get more off of this, but nope.
Yeah.
TP's in and just runs away. He can't do it.
The ward was not even nearly deep enough. It seemed like C9 was a little impatient there. They wanted to get on the plane. They wanted to start their boot camp for Worlds, but they didn't have minions. They had to wait. C9, they knew they had a 3 versus 4 on this one. They burst out Rainover before the Taric ultimate can hit. They get the stun onto Wild Turtle, and then they're just like, you know what? We killed enough people. Let's go for the win.
Yeah. And Adrian, that was also an ultimate that did not hit Wild Turtle, and that's what prompted them to jump immediately on him because the Cosmic Radiance was down. And Adrian's ultimates in this game have been a little bit late because Cloud9 are striking so fast, either as a response or the proactive play that they're making. They're just eliminating Immortals from the map, and it's very hard to react with those few seconds before the invulnerability comes out.
Cloud9. Seconds away from possibly lighting that fuse they've been waiting for. It's going to be the Drake first. They have their head in the clouds in this 4th match. And they will now be making their way towards the inhibitors. 2 left for them on the mid and bot side of the map. It looks like they're going to force IMT, obviously, to fight around those inhibitor turrets to make this happen.
Not much Immortals can do right here. They really don't have... You can see already, Impact was able to solo out Huni.
Yeah.
Pobelter wasn't able to snowball the game. Jensen's Cassiopeia is a monster. And that's not even talking about the guy with the most kills, Sneaky. Already with that mid-game power spiking build completed. really looking to shred down Immortals. An inhibitor already down. They don't have the Baron, but that doesn't mean they're not looking to make a play.
Yeah, Jensen, very fed right now, as well as Sneaky, those 2 damage dealers, very high up there. And then the split push build is online from Impact. Like, Immortals right now have a lot of work to do in terms of stalling.
Yeah, the next Drake is Infernal. They can actually get their 5th Elemental Drake if they wait. Baron would only be a few minutes after that. If they're looking to initiate, they might want their Summoner spells. Meteos would want to be able to flash on Burrow to get a priority target.
So besides it being an ace, I actually may not have time to describe what the fight would look like. Cloud9 may be forcing Immortals' hand in that sense. It looks like they back off for now. What would be the perfect fight for Immortals here? What is their entry into a fight, or is it waiting?
The perfect fight for Immortals is being able to kill Jensen before he can get any damage off. And it's even better if they can get Jensen and Sneaky into knockback. But then the question with the knockback is, like, where's their actual follow-up burst afterwards? Because I'm imagining a world in which Reignover ults both carries backwards and Huni then ults on top of them. That might not actually be enough burst to kill both people. If it was, though, that's the ideal fight. It pretty much has to start with Reignover, CC chain into Yasuo into Taric, and just kill both carries right away.
Oh. They actually do have a fair amount of CC here, and you can throw in the Talia and the knockback on that. And Wild Turtle, he actually has the largest disadvantage and discrepancy between himself and Sneaky. It's about 4,000 gold right now between the two of them, and he's the one that needs to be bringing that consistent damage in the team fights right now. So you're talking about maybe they'll kill 1. It's very hard to kill 2 with the state that the Jhin is currently in right now.
Yeah, Baron's only a minute away, so it looks like that's going to be the next thing C9 turn for. They don't even necessarily need to get the Baron. They just need to draw Immortals far enough outside of their base so that they can get an engage on them. And they got to be feeling pretty excited right about now. Being able to make up for their defeat in Toronto to Team Solomid, that could have clinched the #1 seed for them. If they win here, they'll still be going to Worlds, but they'll be going as a pool 3 team, actually.
Yeah.
It means their group is most likely more difficult.
No possibility of a wild card in your group.
But even so, a lot of people have been saying C9 is the best team in North America, at least from practice leading up to the finals. Definitely, their 2nd place finish is well deserved. This is the 3rd place team, as we were mentioning earlier. They're playing against an Immortals, and if they can beat them here, super well deserved, and they catch Pobelter.
Meteos wants, oh my god, Pobelter gets melted, and the rest of Immortals can't even act on this fight as Cloud9 engage. You were saying they gotta catch him outside the base, and that's exactly where it happened. Anywhere outside the base is Cloud9's map. Wild Turtle calls down the curtain.
They're going for the top inhibitor.
There's no show to be seen. They're going for the top inhib.
Oh, what a nice catch there. They just blow Pobelter away before Adrian can get his ult off.
Again, every single time, Cloud9 are going to try and go to Worlds again with this push.
One Nexus turret down, Cloud9 with their eyes on the prize. And they're looking to make it happen. 32 minutes in, the games have been very even across the board, back and forth. Immortals able to grab one, but Cloud9 looking to clinch the victory. They're leaving on a jet plane. Cloud9 are your 3rd seeds for NA at World.
Meteos returns to the NALCS and makes it to Worlds in his first split. The 4th year in a row the Cloud9 organization has made it to Worlds every year of their existence.
They keep the legacy alive as the 5th most, or the 2nd most dominant team in all of North America. Most Worlds appearances, most Finals appearances behind TSM.
Incredible for C9. The team has come together in such a strong way throughout this season, and the devastation we saw last week from Jensen is an afterthought. They are elated to be going to Worlds.
Exactly, the elation that he is feeling now. After that, in North America, we'll be sending the same 3 teams as last year, but they look very different.
And how incredible is that? You're looking at this Immortals team who is clearly not in the highest of spirits because they were 33-3 in the regular season, and they will not be able to go to Worlds. The most dominant team from a win percentage perspective in North American LCS history. They have the highest winning percentage of all other teams, yet they finish 4th at the end of it, and they don't get to go to Worlds.
And the semifinalists from last year will not be returning.
Yeah, because Huni and Reignover are now not going to Worlds. That means every single member of the undefeated Fnatic squad last year that made it to semifinals
That's true.
will not be attending Worlds.
An amazing split for both teams. Immortals trying to find that victory coming into this split, and Cloud9 looking to rebuild to get to that victory, and having Reaper come in May has seemed to do wonders for the team.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute joy to watch this team go through everything, like swapping supports out, what's going on. He knew what he was doing the entire time, and now the squad, they hold him in such high praise. And another thing there too, you saw Jensen, that sigh of relief. He's going to Worlds, but also coming into this matchup, both of these teams, like you were saying, look like they could go to Worlds and be teams that would represent North America.
Yeah, and the ability to bounce back as well. Like, they were devastated after that loss. I'd never seen Meteos be as tilted during a series. He played terribly in the last few games against TSM, but he was crushing in a lot of these games against Reignover, the spring split MVP, and also he finished, Reignover was the 3rd place in MVP voting for this split as well. So like the whole Cloud9 team, incredibly well deserved to be able to go to Worlds because they had to earn it. They beat Immortals even in the playoffs, and then they beat them again. So like very clearly they deserve it.
Yeah, it was not a fluke at all. And they showed that they are your 3rd representative here, that they deserve it, that they put in the hard work, and that honestly, the organization having to rebuild multiple members, new coaching staff, trying things out, it has paid off for them.
And now they're ready. They already feel behind. Getting on a plane tonight to go over, join TSM in the boot camp, and try to see what they can do at World. It's going to be an amazing task for them, for all the NA teams to undertake here. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure watching them all place for the seeding at Worlds. Now for the player perspective on today's match.